this foundation that you have under your body, all the muscles and everything correlate with the skeleton. So think of this as your skeleton. We'll simplify it to be this cylinder. The rhythm lines that create these structures, your muscles, this outline of your body that we all recognize is generally what we're trying to draw, these rhythm lines that create a body shape, this symbol that we will recognize. These rhythm lines are basically this. They're just the relation to how your muscles are working around this foundation of your skeleton. Once we've got our foundation set, we know that some lines are lying on top of and just falling around this structure underneath. Other lines are hanging from the bones. They're not just laying piled over the structure, they're hanging from it. So you can get that relationship of how the bones and rhythm lines are sort of working together there like that. So say we have those 3 points of our forearm. You got your ulna, and you got 2 other points, this being your ulna, your elbow, and the inside portion of the joint would be this point here, and the outside would be this point here. Those points correlate to the outline of the elbow, and you have this muscle that would be hanging down underneath your ulna slightly, but generally it's a fairly straight line from your ulna that your ulna makes from your elbow to your pinky. And then this point of your elbow is that concave portion of your elbow where you get those snaking muscles that are wrapping around this bone here. And this is just another muscle that's being overlapped. Your elbow. Anyhow, that's how the rhythm lines correlate with gravity and this just structure that we're putting underneath, this stick figure skeleton that we're putting underneath, and the rhythm lines work. Say this is the larger your upper arm and ball joint, and we're still going to have we got sort of I refer to it as an anchor point because that's how your clothing usually hangs from the top. So you still, muscle is hanging, or it's just how the things are actually working around your foundation here. Anyway, that's a fairly horrible drawing of a arm and forearm for you, but that's generally how it works. I notice sometimes you can find an actual triangle in the forearm there. A straight line from the elbow to the pinky, but you know that something hangs a little below that, and it's not always in a straight line that's still evident once you've put your muscles and stuff over it. It's more of your elbow creates this triangle and the things are hanging underneath the bone, and then you'll get a straight line, but the straight line sort of will disappear here where the bone takes sort of has an edge to it there. And the 3 points of the elbow would be here, here, and here. This part of your forearm is usually fairly flat. This whole big relationship I'm talking about is just gravity. Nothing is hanging right here. So this tricep here works with these 3 points. Actually, that's why this point, your elbow point, sticks further back than these, because what it actually is your tricep connecting. Here's the middle part of your tricep here, which is underlying the rest of them, I guess, attaches to your elbow, and it, you know, gets shorter this way. That's how the muscle is contracting to pull your elbow up to straighten your arm. Your tricep works to straighten your arm. So these 3 points represent how, like, this is the rear part of your tricep, which is the bigger portion of your tricep, connects at this point. This portion of your tricep on the outside of the arm, as we're looking at here, this part connects somewhere around this point. Your brachialis, I think it's called, part of your bicep, the underlying part of your bicep, runs sort of around that area to connect, to pull your forearm this way, of course, like with the rest of your bicep. This whole concept I talk about rhythm lines, I did not come up with this concept as actually how they relate to the foundation and all that. I came up with this concept of rhythm from my actual movements, the rhythms of my body as I'm drawing. I got this from life drawing, and that is part of the reason why I've mentioned before that I don't really like shapes, or using shapes like cone structures to get foreshortening. People will use those structures to try to teach themselves how to see things as foreshortened, as passing in front of each other, as coming towards you and stuff. They'll utilize shapes in that manner. But you really train your brain through life drawing, actually drawing models right in front of you. You kind of train your brain to like see things in 3 dimensions. You learn to draw quicker drawing from life in that way, rather than learning to draw like if you're copying your favorite comic book artists and stuff like that. You're not gonna learn as quickly things like proportions and foreshortening and depth, and creating that in your drawings as you will just drawing from life. You'll start to see the relationship of, oh, this hand is a little closer, so I'm going to make it a little bigger, or vice versa, further away. So the movements that I'd make, just constantly moving when I'm drawing like something from life, you know, like those rhythms. And they don't even have to correlate to the foundation like I've been talking about. They can just be correlating to the actual movements that I'm like envisioning the person is moving, or like the energy of their body is sort of moving in this way or that. I don't want to try to explain on this portion of video how I think that the brain is perceiving these things. But there's a reason that I move quickly when I draw, and that's basically because of how I think we train our brains to recognize things, how to draw in a certain manner. And rhythm lines correlate no matter what angle you're drawing something from. They're always going to like match up and correlate to other lines. That's the nature of the rhythm lines, because they're spiraling around the foundation. So no matter what, rhythm lines are always like important to drawing from all angles, 3-dimensionally.